What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wings and Things with Fidel and Josh. Josh is not here today because he's not lazy, but he actually was going to a protest downtown LA to protest for the George Floyd. I don't know if he still went, but yesterday, when I talked to him, he was going to go, and then he was going to rent an Airbnb in somewhere. I don't think he wants me to say where, but for a pool and have a good time with whoever he's doing it with. But that's not here or there. Today we have a guest, a favorite from the podcast. John, how's it going, baby?
Hey, Fidel. Glad to be back.
I'm glad. Thanks for taking time. How's your week?
It's been good. I mentioned this to you a little bit before, but I actually started. I'm taking advantage of kind of being able to work from home and staying at home. So I started on antidepressants, just because I know for that first month, your mood and your body's just kind of getting used to it. So I started that 2 weeks ago, and it's a weird feeling. It's like microdosing on drugs.
Yeah. What do you mean, like weird feelings? Because let's assume people don't know what you're talking about when you talk about weird feelings. Weird feelings.
Yeah. So it's kind of like my head is a little bit depressed still. It's still kind of like doing some depressed thinking, like kind of feeling hopeless, not wanting to do anything. But with the Prozac, my body's like awake and it's energized. So it feels like I'm in a happy state, but I'm still like don't want to do anything. So like I'll have all the energy to want to like go to the gym and be pumped up and work and cook and like hang out with friends. But my mindset will be like, dude, I just want to sleep. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to cook. I don't want to work out. And so it's kind of getting my mindset out of that, but I do like it. And it's kind of an adjustment. And that energy level does help me kind of get up my ass, get walking. Walking builds endorphins. Then I start thinking happier, getting my head cleared. And yeah, so I'm really liking these antidepressants. It's just getting used to the physical effects.
I like what you said earlier, where your mind is depressed, but your body isn't. I think that's how you word it.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. I've never heard it that way, but you're talking about being with whatever you're going through with medication and your body taking about a month to adjust to the medication.
Mm-hmm. Though the first week was different. The first week, I did not feel depressed at all. It was great. I was energized like crazy.
And I'm loving that you're sharing your experience, just because I know, like, culturally, that's like the last thing like Filipinos want to share, or just anyways, even being Latino, the last thing people want to share is they are in mental health, or they're in antidepressants, or they're in this. People in our culture are not really open to it or don't accept it. And it's great that you've taken it and you know what's good for you, regardless of, like, in my case, my parents probably would hate it or won't accept it, or say, don't tell anybody you're in this, because they might look at you like you're broken or whatever. But you're open about it and you know what's good for you.
Yeah. I told some of my family about it and they were not like supportive of it. Mm-hmm. So I just keep saying, well, you take daily medication for diabetes or gout or blood pressure. Mm-hmm. This is a chemical imbalance. I've been depressed for years since I was 14. I just was able to cope with it. And, still to some extent I'm able to cope with it, but, present circumstances right now have just kind of exacerbated everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to try it out, especially if I'm going to be in mental health. It's nice to be on the other end and to understand what, my potential patients would be going through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. I like how you mentioned that you compare it to like diabetic medication or gout. That's really good the way you say, because it is a chemical imbalance and you're doing the same thing they're doing.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever mentioned this. So I have this thing called gout. Basically my body just, it's just all out of whack because I'm not supposed to have it. It's not something you get until like you're like an old man or you have a really terrible diet. And so I would try to control this condition through just diet and exercise. And I was eating really clean, exercising daily. And I still was having gout outbreaks where uric acid would build up in my joints. And it literally just felt like someone was like screwing a screw into my like my ankle or my toes or my my knuckles. And that was painful, like really painful. Like I'd be on crutches or couldn't they put me on like some serious pain meds. And so finally I was just like, okay, screw it. I'll just take this medication daily. And ever since then, I've been good.
That's good. Well, yeah, I'm assuming that's horrible pain. Yeah, I didn't know that about you. I can only imagine the pain. And then now you comparing it to that, it's a great analogy overall. I'm sure that's why you also, especially someone like you that the way I know you is you're higher energetic. I consider you a gym rat type of like a iron monkey guy. Right?
Yeah, I became one. It's funny. I wasn't always one, but I love endorphins. I love physical fitness. You know what? It's also because I'm getting a little too old for this, but
yeah,
I still have that childhood dream of wanting to be a Power Ranger.
Oh my gosh, I love it. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a Power Ranger, and I think 2 semesters ago we were in one of my classes, 637. That's a psych. So what is it? Techniques of
Counseling? Yeah.
in counseling, and we were saying, oh, the professors mentioned what a career you wanted to do when you were a little kid, and everybody, actually, Laura was in that class. Laura, Greg, I forgot who else, and they were like, oh, and I think Natalie, she also came in the podcast, I think like 2 weeks ago, and they're all like, oh, I wanted to be a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. And then my dumb ass is like, oh, like I spoke the truth. You know me, I speak the truth. I was like, I wanted to be the Red Power Ranger. And then he kind of said like a joke, like, oh, there's an assessment for that now. And I kind of started laughing, but I was more of a like, yeah, you're 10 and whatever in your mind is like, dude, what's the coolest job you can think of? A freaking Power Rangers, though. You ride around in a dinosaur, you have powers, you know? Yeah, you're using your imagination. So
Power Ranger. I mean, I still kind of have the dream.
I'm still trying to turn super.
Oh, I never told you. Did I ever tell you my Power Ranger story?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm not gonna get too much into details. I almost hooked up with the original Blue Ranger.
No way! How did that happen? Oh, you don't have to share if you don't have to.
Yeah, just some crazy situations. But I remember what happened was he was hitting me up, and I was like, no, because he's an older guy now.
Mm.
I was like, okay, well, he's in good shape. Like he's got actually a really good body for like an older guy. But I was like, nah. And then I think the next night I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, that wasn't him. No, that wasn't him. And then I look on my phone to see what he looks like now. And I'm like, oh my God, I almost hooked, because I had a crush on the original Blue Ranger. And I was like, oh my God. I texted my cousins because we used to pretend we were the Power Rangers. And I was like, you will never guess what just happened.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're taking the whole bonding with a Power Ranger to another level right there. I was just trying to be when you're over here hooking up with the blue one. Is this the original blue Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? That's amazing.
It's it was, what was it from Austin Powers? Like, I spent so many years thinking that I wanted to be you, but really I just wanted to be with you.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
So yeah, that was
yeah, you've never shared that story with us. Well, now you have, which is grateful. But
I have, yeah. Being gay in LA.
Yeah.
You know, the original Black Ranger, he's in the Valley every now and then. My friend's sister was at a party and she was like dancing, and all of a sudden freaking Zach's there.
Oh, wow. Isn't that guy like super shredded?
Yeah, he's still in shape, and he was a dancer, so he's still like dancing.
Oh, wow.
And it was a Cuban party too.
Oh wow! So there was a lot of dancing.
There was a lot of dancing. He was getting down. He was dancing. I was like, damn.
Are you a dancer, John?
No, I like to dance, but I'm not a dancer. I wish. I thought with COVID, I would try to learn a little bit, like brush up on my salsa, my bachata.
Oh, nice.
Learn how to finally twerk.
Nothing.
Yeah. Last thing I need is like some of my family members like opening the door, watching me like
dropping it low. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. No, that's a TikTok right there. Yeah, you know what? Yesterday, actually, we were talking about this outside the podcast, but yesterday I was at Josh's house, and there's a show that I freaking love. I know we just talked about it not too long ago, Selling Sunset. In that show, oh my gosh, it's full of drama. And this is through a true Angelino. I was born and raised in LA. We still live in LA. And the perspective that I enjoyed was watching it with Josh, that he wasn't born in LA. He was born in Seattle, lived and raised, came here for grad school. And he says, you know what pisses me off? He's like, the main reason why I came to LA is because I used to watch shows like this. And it makes you think that LA is exciting and it's popping 24/7. But once you get here, they don't tell you that there's 2-hour traffic just to get to a 3-mile radius. You know, all the traffic, the numb parking, the overcrowdedness. Like that's like one.
But that's what he gets for living in the Valley. You're
Yeah.
separated from all that. This is the place to go if you want to be, within 5 minutes at all times of an in and out.
Yeah. See, well, he used to live by Redondo. I think he used to live in Redondo or something like that.
Okay, that's a little bit better there.
Yeah, and then he moved to the valley. It was just funny though, his perspective. He's like, this bullshit. He's like, there's no traffic in this show. You can't find parking just to get fucking Phil's coffee or something. So it was just funny the perspective. But either way, on my way back from his house, I was driving on the 101 passing Universal Studios, and I was happy, no traffic. And I don't know where behind me I just see the lights of the sirens of the police. And I swear to you, it was maybe 30, 35 cop cars just bolting to downtown LA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was like 10 o'clock at night. And it was for each exit to get to downtown LA, police officers was just blocking it from that line of cars. I didn't know until I got home when I Googled it. There was like people protesting.
Dude, I was like texting my boyfriend yesterday because like some of my roommates were old roommates were gonna protest, and like me and my boyfriend are like really big on protesting and like trying to be political. And I was like texting him, "Hey babe, should we be protesting right now?" Like, and he thought about it. He said he's been thinking about it too, and his answer is just kind of no, not with COVID out right now. Like, you don't need all the people who would be standing up for this to fight against this all getting sick.
Yeah,
it's funny because he kind of echoed a lot of what I was just feeling, just like this pent up stress, emotions that these events and these protests and the backlash against them kind of stir in people, especially like me. And it's interesting, just the compound of stressors going on right now. You got the COVID restrictions and, kind of that cabin fever going on.
Yeah.
And then you have an event like this with George Floyd, and it's pretty crazy. Just a lot of just the emotions that are going on right now. Like they say, like that's what these riots are, and these protests are. It's just this funneling and expression of emotion. Strong ones, very strong ones.
Yeah, very strong ones. Especially when they burned down the police station, Minneapolis. Sorry, that's where it happened.
Yeah, I think Minneapolis is the capital.
Not sure. I just know they burned the motherfucking police station down. And when I saw that on Google, I was like, shit's getting too crazy. Either they're releasing all their bottled up frustration because of the COVID at the end, just like you said, or people are really this.
Because the response has actually been like, if you want to compare it to some of the other like terrible crimes that have happened, they arrested this guy really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And they charged him with like, I think, are they charging him with murder?
I think so, yeah. I want to know
what happened compared to like all these other ones where it's like
trial and all that crap.
Not even a trial. It's just like the guy didn't even get arrested. They got like paid time off.
Oh yeah. That was the other guy.
And like, just so yeah, but there's just definitely a lot of anger, and I get it. I'm angry too.
I'm irritated, and then it's one of those things that no matter how educated you are or financially stable you are or how far you go away from whatever stereotype, you're still the color of your skin. And this is what irritates me, that last time I was having lunch. No, I think I was having dinner like a month ago. We were in my friend's car. He has a Tesla. We're both dark. And we ordered, we're very careful. So, we have our masks, whatever. We ordered, but this is the first day stage 2 happened. I think this is like that day stage 2 happened when people were finally allowed to go out and more things were opening. So we went to Mendocino Farms, ordered salads. We just picked them up, went to our car and ate. And this is in Marina del Rey. We were in the parking lot. We were in the parking structure, whatever, eating. We were eating salads, and a cop car passed by. And it's funny because we both got nervous at the same time, kind of like, oh shit. And the cop just passed by. But then I got upset. I'm like, dude, we're in a fucking Tesla. We're graduate students and we're still scared to even eat in our car. When a police officer comes, we both were like, oh shit. And then
that's the message you get from media.
Yeah.
Is that, still got to be careful.
Yeah. And then me driving home, I was like, fuck, like I'm a grad student. I'm this, I'm that. And you still have that like internal fear. As soon as you saw a cop, you're like, oh, they could really mess you up right now. And we're literally just two dudes eating. a $20 salad that's overpriced in the parking lot,
Yeah.
where shit like this could go sideways real quick. And it kind of
Meanwhile, a bunch of guys with heavy guns stormed state capitol buildings. Nothing.
No one cares.
And I think that's another important thing to factor into all this anger is nothing happened to all the people, protesting the COVID restrictions. They were cheered, celebrated as heroes.
Even then, going back to the COVID and getting out of this like depressive topic is just how is affecting their mental health. People in the COVID, just like you mentioned earlier. I'm kind of interested about it, and also the stress. The one thing that was interesting was that these the California the credit cards, the FICO scores and all that, the FICO credit card companies released this thing where I saw the chart where they were comparing American spendings pre-COVID to the current epidemic, and spending has either stayed the same or increased for some people on their credit cards. So it's something different that I would have assumed that, people are losing their jobs. This epidemic's coming up. You would think, I'm not going to spend. I'm going to try to be as careful as possible. But people were spending the same amount of money pre-COVID as they are during COVID. So it's kind of interesting. So I don't know if they're spending because, I might die and screw it. Or is it one of those, they're that optimistic, or they just don't care? I don't know.
It could be that. It could be, it's one of those things where you can't just say people are spending more. It's like, which populations are spending more? What are they spending more or less on? And then you get more of a complete picture. I could imagine people having less money in their checking accounts, so they're charging everything on their card now to survive.
See, that's what I was thinking. I literally thought that. And the thing that sucks that the chart didn't break down like socioeconomic status, race. It just compared pre to post or current COVID. So it didn't go extreme detail. It just said that the credit card use remained almost the same in some states. It went up.
But you also see a bunch of like memes, like on Instagram of like people who are saying, "I'm so bored. I'm just like shopping like crazy, buying a bunch of useless crap to fulfill me."
Yeah, actually, I have a friend that did that. As soon as she got her stimulus check, she blew it up on Amazon. It was literally not on rent or anything. She blew up on Amazon just to stay, because she was bored. She wanted to stay entertained, do whatever. She blew the whole check.
You know what? That's a choice. I say that so judgmentally. I don't mean that as a choice. I mean, yeah, that's a choice.
I looked at her sideways. I was like,
I mean, not everyone's hurting that much. And just because this is a hard time doesn't mean we need to live a hard life. You still have a right to thrive in whatever way you want to or can and choose to.
No, yeah. I kind of sound like a dick, but I wasn't judging. I was just more of a, you could have done something else.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I feel that. I mean, especially me, my finances, I'm like, are good, but I'm kind of scared of what's going to happen in the next few months for a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So I'm kind of just hoarding all my money. Actually, I've never had this much money in my checking account before.
Nice.
Because I'm just saving it up because I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. I'm actually going to have to file for unemployment in a few weeks.
Oh, nice. Well, nice that it's available. And I'm only saying nice because I know some people that I've worked with in my other job do that. An unemployment check is nice. Like my friend, she was only working like 25 hours, 30 hours a week, like $17 an hour, whatever. Her unemployment check's $3,000 a month. Like that's how much she's bringing in. That's all. And that's not the only person. I know like 6 other people that are getting over $3,000 a month. And that's the only reason why I said nice. And they're earning more on unemployment than when they were working.
Which, you can also extrapolate that meaning to mean, so like the jobs that you're actually willing to pay for, you're not paying a living wage.
Yeah.
But I'm really big on that. I mean, it's kind of crazy. They say that you get more conservative as you get older. Plus, like, I started political ideology wise kind of more on the closer to centrist conservative side. And then I studied business law and economics. Oof. Nice. I went hard left.
You went hard. Oh, like politically or just topic?
Yeah, I went so left. It's crazy how left I went. I went so left the Democrats are Republicans to me. But it's mostly because I believe that I understand the concepts. I really do. Just that like human life isn't something we want to measure in dollars.
Oh yeah, of course.
And we don't want to measure human life in terms of what you can produce,
Mm-hmm.
because where does that leave the elderly, the sick, the disabled, the people who are different? It pushes this idea that you're only worth what you can produce, so you're only worth anything when you're aged 20 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very problematic thinking to me. So I try to just kind of embrace a more collectivist approach where we care for everyone. And you know me, like one of my big populations I really advocate and want to work for is the homeless population.
Yeah.
So
Eradicate. I remember when I first met you, that's the first thing you mentioned to all of us. You want to eradicate homelessness, and you knew you had to take it at one step at a time. But that what you mentioned, that collectivism is great, where yeah, you're right. A lot of other cultures, the elders are not just put in homes or whatever. They actually are the next gen. They're taking care of the next generation, like babysitting or whatever. But I'm not talking about like in America, but that happens here too. But it's more of they're passing their stories, they're taking care of the grandkids while the actual parents are actually working. So, and it sucks that some cultures, some people do just put their parents in a old folks home, and they're not valuable no more because they can't work. So, just like you said, yeah.
And I don't want to hate on the people who do that, because I understand everyone has their reasons. We all have our relationships with our parents. My mom actually became disabled the end of last year, and I had to consider that too. Like, can I take care of my mother? What am I going to do with her now that she can't work and she's quote unquote useless, dead weight? What do I do with her? And that's not the mindset I wanted to have. But I do understand when you just can't take care of your elderly, and it's unfortunate that they don't have a more integrated role in our society and relatively isolated. But that's getting into more things.
Yeah.
But it does tie into this idea that, and I've been really exploring this idea a lot too, is that there's mental health at the individual level. And that's, kind of what we tend to specialize in. We work one-on-one with our patients or in group settings. But then there's also the idea of the systemic issues that affect mental health. COVID, the infrastructure for our healthcare infrastructure, the infrastructure for our caring of our elderly, where they are in our society. And then, recently with George Floyd, how these communities are affected by it. Even for me, because I'm at a cross section where, I'm an ethnic minority, but I'm also LGBT. And we have our version of the oral tradition of the Stonewall riots. We got our rights when a Black trans woman threw a brick at a police officer, and New York rioted for 3 days, and, people got arrested, beaten. But like, that's part of our story. So when not all of us obviously kind of adhere to this, but whenever there's a riot, we're like, yeah, we get it.
I wasn't aware of that New York story.
The Stonewall riots.
Yeah, you want to share a little bit about it?
Yeah, that's the reason why we have Pride in June.
Oh, really? That's when it happened, actually, in June?
Yeah, the first Pride parades, Pride marches, they were riots, they were protests, they were political. They weren't like, let's celebrate and be gay and take off our clothes and dance to music. It was just fun and all. That's great too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on that. And, it's nice that there's companies that are willing to, sell out and, pretend to be gay friendly for gay money. Like, cool, whatever. Give us your money. But it was political. It was grassroots. It was messy, and it was not popular.
Can you share more of that story of throwing the brick? I've never heard of it. I'm fascinated. I'm more than happy to.
I do not know much about it. But these LGBT clubs were illegal.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think it was the 60s, 70s. This is terrible too. Like, I don't know my own history that well.
Well, isn't it like in the DSM-4? It was a disorder. So
yeah, it was in the.
We don't have to go that far.
We do not. Gay marriage wasn't legal until we were adults.
2008, I think 2009, when it was like Prop 8. I think they were voting, or was it?
No. It was legal for a little bit because of the courts.
Yeah.
And then they voted Prop 8,
Oh, okay, okay.
and it made it illegal again.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
They rewrote the Constitution to be like, nope. And then like a bunch of court rulings later, it kind of fixed itself. But yeah, I actually remember that I was campaigning really heavily in 2008 against Prop 8, and it passed. And
Yeah.
like I was crushed. I was like, oh, I thought that California and the world
Like
was
super
getting a little bit
liberal.
better,
Yeah.
but
I
it's not.
I like I don't remember what comedian said it, but he was pissed when Prop 8 passed. And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, we're talking about equality. I want gay people to be unhappy with their matrimony too. I want a gay guy to lose half his shit. So, I don't know. He was just putting humor, that spin on it. But
Yeah,
like, dude, it's marriage. Yeah. I don't see why people
think
wouldn't.
about all the money that comes from the gay marriages and gay divorces.
Yeah, for real. There's another market for that.
And you know how we like to be extra about everything?
Oh, of course. Dude, I'm saying, who was it?
I remember that joke. I remember.
Yeah, and then he goes into his like, I don't know why people hate gay people. They move into your neighborhood, your property value goes up. They're not shooting up the place; they're decorating it. So,
Ooh, but then we get into gentrification issues.
no, yeah.
Which is funny because me and my boyfriend joke about that because we just talk about all these things. That me and him are part of the problem.
In what way?
The gentrification. I mean, it's such a. The issue with it is that it displaces people,
Mm-hmm.
and the people it displaces are the poor and the people who can't really do anything about it. And yeah, you want the property values kind of to rise, the neighborhood to get technically better and safer and cleaner. Like, yes, these things are all good, but you're also displacing the people who were there before, and a rising homeless population.
Yeah,
And
it becomes it's tricky. It's one of those. It's like a balancing board. You're trying to fix one thing, and then something else is going down, and it's just that perfect balance that we still don't know how to do it.
right.
But one thing
Yeah.
you mentioned that maybe I sounded insensitive was the putting people in homes and all that. I'm not for it, but I understand it. My aunt on my dad's side, his oldest sister, she's like in her late, she's almost 90. She's she's in a retirement home. She hates it, but all my family lives in either Texas or New York or Virginia, which half the time it's too cold for her. My dad can't take care of her. He's working, doing whatever he has to do, type of thing. Her kids are in New York or Washington. I mean, not Washington, Virginia. And she doesn't want to leave. She's stubborn. They keep telling her, move over here. She's like, nope, I've been here since I was a little girl. I'm not leaving. So that's the best thing they could have done at that moment. So I understand. Yeah. It's just, I never crossed that road yet. I hope I never do. Like, I'm still living in my parents' house because they are in their 70s, and I'm the youngest, so I don't mind taking that road. Like, my mom can't pick up when we go to Costco. She can't pick up a 50-pound bag of rice. I do it for her. If I'm not there, my son does it for her. Type of thing. So it sucks, and that's one perfect balance that I do see. She helps me with my son. My mom and dad help me with my son a lot. At the same time, my son helps them physically, like cutting the grass. He cut the grass on Friday because my dad's, that's something that would drain him for the rest of the day. When my son's like, yeah, I'll do it, and he's doing stuff like that. But not everybody has that privilege too. That I understand.
I don't think it came across as insensitive what you said.
No, I just want to make sure. Just it sucks. Like it really sucks. I hate it. And one thing that scares me the most, I forget what class is this, where they ask you what's that one thing you fear the most in the DSM personally, and then some people say depression, trauma, whatever. And mine is always the neurals, like me lose like Alzheimer's. I'm so scared of that shit. I won't do presentations on it just because I actually forced myself to talk about Alzheimer's in my 658 class, just because I'm so scared of it. It doesn't run in my family. I don't know anybody that has it, maybe. But just the deterioration of your mind is something that I value the most, is my mind, that you can't take away from me technically. But I think that's what makes me unique. And then everybody else, I get that. But like, I love the way I think. I know I'm weird, I'm random. Me seeing myself deteriorate mentally is something that scares the crap out of me.
And that's understandable. We're both graduate students, which means we rely on our intellect to get by in our daily lives, and we value it, we take pride in it, we work hard on it. And to lose something that has been so a part of you, and you derive your own sense of self-worth from, it's hard. That's one of my biggest fears too.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, losing my mind. My biggest fear is still wild animals, but
same.
Yeah. Well, because like I like to go on hikes, and one time I was
Yeah.
high and I encountered two bighorn sheep, and
Oh
I
shit.
think that I could have died because they were bigger than me, and I
Yeah.
was high on a cliff by myself.
You know, for undergrad I went to Cal State LA, and when you were at Cal State LA, they would have text alerts.
Mhm.
And they'll from sometime, at least maybe once every other week, the PM classes, like they start like at 6, whatever. Mountain Lions will go into the campus and they'll walk around. So they'll send alerts.
Do you remember our first semester at Pepperdine?
Yeah.
We were getting them from Pepperdine, the mountain lion
Oh yeah,
alerts
that's right.
on the Malibu campus all the time. And then later that semester, the shooting happened.
The shooting happened, yeah.
And then the fire.
And the fire. And then the floods.
And then the floods. And then Jasmine was like, this is the weirdest semester ever.
Yeah.
But I love that. You know what? That semester left an impression on me because it showed me that the teachers cared, because both of my teachers took like 2/3 of the class time just to talk about our feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
We were in Bacon's class.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you were in Bacon's class, yeah.
We were in Bacon's, and she literally said, you know what? We're not going to lecture, express ourselves. And she gave us that whole hour, whatever, and everybody felt very good. And, and I love that. I love that about her.
Psychs, I love psych programs. Like, they actually address this stuff. If it was in any other degree, they'd just be like, we're just going to do business as usual, not address your mental issues.
I could see law school doing that and business school, the MBA or whatever.
Dude, also like another kind of like pet peeve, because I've been taking care of my mom, and one of the things that caused me to get to fall into depression and anxiety was dealing with insurance, dealing with like, medical groups and the government bureaucracy. It is painful. Like, I would be on the phone for like hours going back and forth, months going back and forth between different departments, getting kind of just shuffled around, not like, and just feeling really made to be really small. Before COVID, I didn't have time to do any of this because I was working 2 jobs while a grad student and taking care of my mom. COVID happened. I finally had like a lot of time to do these calls. But even then, progress wasn't being made. I was being ignored, neglected. People weren't getting back to me. And it just really made me just feel really, again, just very small, powerless, unable to do anything, thinking it was my fault, being told it was my fault, or that like, it's my responsibility to take care of my mom, to make sure she has these services. And then when I finally call to get mental health services for myself, the prompter is like, hey, if you don't reach a person, leave a message, we'll get back to you, within the hour. And then they do get back, and then it's like multiple people getting back plus emails. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm being heard. I'm being listened to. And it's because I was contacting mental health services. So
one thing that's evil in this world is insurance. And it's one of those, how little can we legally pay you or ignore you? And that's the sad part and the realistic part about it, that we're just how they're going to maximize profit, and you're just a file number. The bottom line would always be, the bottom line is, how much money are we going to make at the end of the quarter? And there's one thing I do hate about it. Yeah. And sometimes, I actually mentioned this in my other class, if you have a client X age, let's just hypothetically speaking, mid-20s, male, depressed, whatever, insurance only give you 8 to 12 sessions at the most. And some insurance will probably even cover less than that. And once you get to like the 10th session, you might have created rapport, clients opening up, and then you're just leaving them open with all those emotions that are not closed, or this path that he's never traveled to, and he's relying on you to walk with them, metaphorically speaking. And it sucks that there's a limit to it. And what happens if that person doesn't have the finances to pay your hourly fee or whatever, if they need to see you twice a week, or Some people need to go to therapy 5 times a week. I've known stuff like that. So that's one thing that I hate, that insurance just be like, this is what we think you need to get better. You should be getting better in the next 8 to 12 weeks, which is unrealistic. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? I'm sure they're almost the same.
Yeah, totally. And I do understand. I did study economics. I understand limited resources, efficient allocations of them. I understand the reasons behind the graphs and the curves, and I understand that the numbers, and I know we're trying to be efficient with resources so we can help the maximum amount of people with the least amount of resources. It's not just being spendthrifty; it's to help the overall community. But I think that even though we have these models, it's not a realistic reflection of reality, because we do have this huge income disparities.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm anti-capitalist, because I get that capitalism would work if what we have isn't perfect capitalism. Theoretically, yes, capitalism does work, but just I don't know. I just envision a system where the resources go where they're needed, and people get the help that they need. And that sounds like really naive, doesn't it?
No, it's perfect, dude. It's what it is. Yeah, it's true. We only have limited sources, and money will run out eventually. You just can't flood it, and it's sad. Some people will be saved, some people won't. That's just the reality type of thing.
But we also do have an excess of wealth going to really stupid shit.
Yeah, like F-22 is worth $100 million. So some stuff like that, it's realistic, or things worth, like a bomb is worth that much. I forgot. I saw this. Oh, I saw this in a Netflix show. They drop a bomb in the wrong city, and they're like, "Oh my god, how much is this gonna cost us?" He's like, "The city or the bomb?" He's like, "The bomb." A middle school. So it was just that joke. They could have invested that money in the middle school, but they built a bomb with it. So I don't know. I don't remember where I heard that, but it was one of those. I kind of laughed and I said, "That's fucked up." That's like super dark humor.
It is. It is. Gosh. Okay. So how do you feel like as an individual when we talk about how messed up our society is? Like, how does it feel?
I always ask myself this. I'm pretty political, so I do my research. People think I love Trump. They don't know that I love making fun of him. Like, for me, it's like South Park. Have you seen the new episode of South Park? Like, there's Mr. Garrison is Trump.
I've seen some clips, yeah, but I haven't been watching full episodes.
So that's the way I see it. I love South Park, and I love the way they make fun of Trump. And I think it's funny, but I know that realistically life is not fair and it sucks. For me, it gets irritating where I see people earning crazy amount of money. And then sometimes I'm on YouTube and then I see people buying $300,000 cars or $100,000 watches just to stunt on their other $100 million friends or billionaires. When I see people buying $50 million houses on YouTube or selling Sunset, there's like a $40 million house that someone invested in. That's like waste of money and resources. Yeah, you have an ego, you want to fill it up. So politically, sometimes Trump irritates me the crap. Sometimes I don't know what he's doing, but I get the whole concept of we do have equal opportunity. It just sucks that realistically you can have both equal opportunity and equal outcome. It's one of those either or, and obviously equal outcome is socialism. Equal opportunity would be what we have, and I enjoy it. But sometimes I do feel guilty where someone like you or myself is more driven, will theoretically be more successful in life. And I think just me always says what you put in is what you're going to get out of the program, is the same thing I think of life. If you're willing to sacrifice and work hard, and it's not one of those put yourself in the bootstrap, but for most, that tends to work, and it sucks because there's those people that are maybe not as driven. They're content at a lower standard, or maybe they're not as intellectually capable, because you can easily say everybody knowledge is power, but not everybody understands the knowledge. Like, my comprehension of stuff does not equate to how Neil deGrasse Tyson comprehends things. Like, we're in two different universes and he's obviously a lot better. So I'm just comparing like that, he would obviously be more successful because his intellectual capacity is way higher than mine. And I think that's how it is economically. Some people are more intellectual. Some people are born with a lot of wealth, and it kind of sucks. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I think about with my blessings. I always tell myself it could always be worse. I could be paralyzed. My parents could be dead. Knock on wood. Get a disease, or like we talked earlier, Alzheimer's, or develop early symptoms, stuff like that. So I always put myself in that scenario where I'm blessed for what I have, and I try not to compare myself to other people. Like I see people with better cars than me, I'm like, oh, good for them. For me, I'm like, I'm happy with my little Corolla, and I just stay in the present, in the positive.
So how those are some of your thoughts, but what are your feelings when you think about all this?
I get sad, to be honest with you. I get sad.
Yeah.
And sad because some people have just we're seeing like we're at the bottom of the pile type of thing as being people of color. So it
Like
just gets me,
hopeless.
yeah, just hopeless. Like the cycles there, like generations. There's like generational wealth. There's also generational poverty or generational mentality of being in poverty. So I
It's
think,
a problem that you inherited that is far larger than you could ever hope to overcome
yeah,
as an individual.
yeah. Like you could easily say, I have a friend. His mom was all like, "Oh, my son's crazy because he wants to earn $100,000 a year." She's like, "He should be happy with $35,000 a year. Like that's more than what I'm making." And I kind of see it as you giving your kid limitations, which is the opposite of what a parent should do. Yeah, you have to give them realistic goals. You're not gonna be. It'll be weird if my mom's talking to me, become a professional athlete when I'm not that good at anything like that. But I don't think we should give our kids limitations, but keep them grounded. But it saddens me. It goes into more depth, but I get sad, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what, I mean, definitely anger is what we're seeing, but there's just a lot of sadness going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel so powerless right now to affect change.
Yeah.
Change in my own life and change in the lives of others and the people whose lives I feel powerless to affect change to correct injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And these aren't just lofty ideals; these are real lives that we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are being killed. Families
Mm-hmm.
are losing their loved ones, and we ourselves are getting exposed to these stories.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's sad, That's the one thing I get sad, I get angry. I hate I hate that it became a norm now that there's either a shooting or a cop murders or wrongfully arrested somebody or racially profile somebody. And sadly, well, I'm glad for social media. This is one of those things I do love, that people recorded that shit and are able to have a platform to release that information. So that's one positive, but then again, that's one positive out of 100 negatives.
yeah. And then there's the ideas of hate and anger as a secondary emotion to all this fear and sadness that we're all feeling. And with that anger, it escalates and it becomes divisive. Um, Even for me, I have to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I don't hate all cops. I don't wish all cops were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to kind of chill a little bit. Um, but it pushes hate will divide and push you into extremist thinking.
And you're right what you said. Not all cops. You shouldn't hate all cops. You shouldn't hate anything. You're right. But sadly, a few apples do spoil the rest of the tree. So that's one thing that does suck. But like they said, the first thing that when you're in trouble, who are you gonna call? You're gonna dial 911, regardless. But for me, no, that you heard that saying, right? Like, well, for me, I'll be hesitant to do it.
A lot of communities are learning or have learned or have known for decades, you don't call the cops when things go down because
Yep.
that's just an excuse for them to make your life a hell of a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tragic and unfortunate, but also justified. If you
Yeah.
look at history, especially LA's history, full of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Shit, we can go all the way from the 40s, the 50s, from the Japanese population, the Korean population, Zuzu riots, and now the Latino community, the Black community. But when you mentioned the whole, you know what population you are when you don't call the cops, and especially mental
Hmm.
health in the 80s, 90s. Haven't actually never shared this story with anybody. From my dad has an old friend. They're almost the same age. They've had this friend for maybe 30, no, maybe it's been a lot more than maybe like 50 years. They've been friends for like 50 years. They were both young when they met, maybe 50 years. And the mom, Latina, the husband, Latino, she was a middle school teacher, lower middle class, nothing special. Uh, they had a son, and they didn't really understand mental health. This was like early 90s. I was a little kid, 97, whatever. And
Hmm.
they didn't know, they didn't really understand. They don't believe in therapy. He was blown, schizophrenic, auditory hallucinations, the whole shebang.
Hmm.
And they didn't really understand it. He was having an episode. He was hearing stuff. He was getting frustrated. So the mom was scared. Her son thought that people were after him. It was irrational thinking. And he got a knife because he was scared,
Hmm.
ran in the closet. The mom got scared. So she called the cops. The cops came, and then he came out because he didn't know what was going on. They saw a knife in his hand, and they shot him and killed him. And it was one of those not understanding mental health. And the same thing is, as would have been different if he was white? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it would have been handled differently. So especially being in the 90s, this was maybe 90s. I want to say 97, but it's one of those things that sucks. And one of those, you don't call the cops, because realistically it's probably going to be them hurting us more than we're hurting each other.
Yeah, I've heard that story. I mean, not your story, but I've heard basically the same story
Mhm.
multiple times over the years, and recently
Yeah,
too. It still happens,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. And it sucks. So, and there's people like us here trying to do good, and we can only do so much. There's only so many hours we could work, so many people we could reach. And
Hmm.
one thing is that you tell me, well, how do I feel about all this? One thing I hate that gets me irritated is fucking student loans. And I bring this up once in a while. I fucking hate it. I hate people are trying to do good in life, are literally trying to help, and they're the ones that are in so much debt. Where one of my friends says, I can't even get a fucking car loan because I'm in so much student loan debt. He doesn't
Hmm.
qualify. Like, they don't want to, like, you owe too much and earn not enough to get a loan for a car type of thing. So it's one of those, if you're in it to help people, you're not gonna earn a good living type of thing mentality, which
Hmm.
is one of those things I do hate. That I do hate about, well, socialism makes it easier if you think about it school wise, but it's one of those things that I know it's not sustainable. But school is way too expensive, especially us. We're going to a private school that's crazy priced. So
Hmm.
I don't know. That's when I talk about anything that does irritate me is freaking student loans, and knowing that when you graduate, you're gonna have to pay for this shit. It's like another mortgage.
Yeah, it's interesting the intersection of. And I'll keep bringing this up of mental health and systemic issues in our
Mhm.
society, and it's frustrating because I mean, especially for not especially, but particularly in my one of my cases, I want to work with the homeless population, and I want to do a lot of individual work, one on
Mhm.
one, but that's not going to do anything. I'll make a difference in maybe one life, two lives, three lives, but that doesn't stop the homeless
Yeah.
problem. That doesn't stop the contributions to it. And honestly, a lot of the solutions to a lot of our mental health problems are uh, important changes that need to be made systemically.
Mhm.
Which is why you kind of see a lot of therapists actually trying to do that, where they get more involved in policy, get more
Mhm.
involved in I have all these great treatments and I can work with these kids who can afford, you know, these people who
Mhm.
can afford me. But how do I get my services to the populations who really need me, who are underprivileged, who have everything stacked against them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's that's literally $1 million question right there, my friend.
Hmm.
That sucks. But one thing I do want to like, not switching topics, but it relates to this is, um, my mom tends to, since she retired because she's up there,
Hmm.
she loves watching soap operas, and she watches the 9 o'clock one, and it's a Portugal one. It's from
Hmm.
Portugal, and I know why she likes watching it. It's like interesting, but the guy is like super handsome.
Hmm.
So he's like the manly man, like wears suits. He has the nice full beard. He's a good looking guy. So I get why she loves it and she likes the storyline. But I'm like, I know you're not watching the storyline. But she's just being an old lady, which is fun. It's cute. I watch it with her from time to time. But I love it that it is a Portugal based soap opera, and then it's also translated into Spanish, and they actually incorporate mental health, where that stigma is like, hey, we don't care what other family members think. You're going to therapy. So I actually
Hmm.
like that, and I've noticed it in two of her soap operas that they've done that, where they're trying to destroy that stigma of mental health is you're broken, or therapy is only for crazy people or the loonies, whatever they want, that whatever stupid term they want to use.
Hmm.
I actually liked it, and I actually told my mom, "Hey, did you notice they're promoting therapy?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Therapy is normal nowadays." But if I would have asked her a year ago, 2 years ago, therapy is like only deal with crazies, whatever. And like,
Yeah, it's not just for white people.
yeah, it's not just for white people. So now she actually likes, like, it. It was like she saw it on TV, so it's not like, okay, it's more normal, more people are into it. So I kind of like what whoever wrote this thing, or the direction it's going to. It's appreciated for people like us to reach cultures that were once shy from seeking help.
Yeah, that are more resistant to it. Like
Yeah.
when we do our clinical interviews, that's one of the things that we're looking out for is what are the potential resistances or reactances to the
Mhm.
therapeutic process? How difficult will this client be for XYZ reasons?
Yeah. Yeah. And I only know a lot about the Filipinos because Josh tells me a lot of this. So it's not like I'm trying to like be knowledgeable about your culture, but Josh does say some stuff about like that. Like they avoid it.
Dude, Filipinos, it's like Asians, we're Asian Latinos, like it's like
Yeah.
double.
That's what he said. He says that he's like, I look like Mexican with the exception of the eyes. That's what he said last time, which was
Hmm.
pretty funny. Yeah.
We're affected by it, and we're a lot of mental health issues are at the systemic level. It's not just
Yeah.
individually. This is what happened to you and your small family unit.
Yeah.
You are part of a larger society, and that is what's going on in the society is affecting you. Because I don't think we're ever going to really come to a point. This is just a
Oh
conversation,
yeah, we're
really.
just, dude. This is why I love doing my podcast. This is what I started it for. Is just people having great conversations. Like I know I saw China's and it's cool. Like it's the lighthearted. It's just chicks
Yeah,
talking. I like that, but it's not like when I think of mine, it's like something I would do, but not all the time.
yeah. But you know what, though? They have a new episode. They're going to have a new episode coming out,
Hmm.
and I don't think they're going to be quiet on these issues.
Oh hell no! I'm sure they're gonna go crazy on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to
Because
come on.
actually, me and
No, go
it was in
ahead.
a private conversation. Me and China were talking about it just a little bit. Me and China were talking just a little bit, just on each other's Instagram posts because even now, like I'm seeing some of my friends like protesting, but they're protesting in their cars, and I'm like, oh, I could have done that. That's safe.
Yeah, that's smart.
I could have just sat in my car and honked. That's
Yeah. So I'm actually, yeah, that one sounds like a pretty good one
yeah,
for China and her friends to talk about it because it's closer to home than to them than it is to us. But at the
I
same
know.
time, once they're done with them, they'll come to us, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We'll
they
just
already have. I mean, my protest. I remember the last big protest I went to was in 2018. When the coverage of the child separation, family separation at the border thing was just like really heated,
that was horrible.
and I was just like on it. I was.
And that was through Obama's era.
It started with Obama, but it got worse. Like back then, it was just a few cases, and that was kind
Yeah.
of like the weird exception where it's like the gray line. Well, what do you do with these people because of it? But
Yeah.
then it was just like, hey, let's multiply that by like 100,000.
Yeah. It gets worse. I feel like this is one of these podcasts that went in pretty deep. I actually like it.
It did. It did. I did not think it would go this direction.
Hmm.
Um,
Are you okay with it going this direction?
yes, I am so comfortable talking about
Okay,
everything.
cool, cool.
Yeah,
I never want to put somebody in a situation like what they don't want to discuss because we could have gone lighthearted, but that's why I like it. We don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay with me constantly trying to take it back to like mental health?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. With me, it only because I was my podcast, my guest, whatever. I like to cater to the guest is you. I'm just here
Mm-hmm.
for the ride. I'm doing your ride type of thing. So that's how I appreciate it.
You know, like
Hey,
those stereotypical stuff.
yeah, you look. One thing I do a lot, despite how crazy people know I am or random. Two
Mm-hmm.
things I always give to St. Jude and there's a downtown women's center. So if you are into helping out people that are homeless or avoiding escaping what's it called, domestic violence or
Mm-hmm.
anything, downtown women's center, they will have food, therapy for them, shelter. They have limited beds. I think they only have like 25 or 40 beds per night because there's limited resources, just as we talked about earlier. So if for some reason you have extra cash and you just want to go to the strip club or go wherever you want to go, say no this time and give to the downtown women's. And that's what two organizations I do support, two
Nice.
organizations like this. So it's not just me sharing it and not doing it. And I have a son and I was raised by my mom. And I think the best way you could raise a man is by a strong woman. And I give that to my mom for being a strong woman because that woman does not back down from anybody. And I teach my son saying, hey, we could give money, whatever. You give $20 a week or $20 a month, whatever. You'll be surprised. Everything helps. $1 helps, $10 helps, even if it's once every quarter, every month, every 3 months, whatever. Just throwing that out there because there is limited resources. Those are two things I help out. So just trying to end on a positive because we did jump around and talk about a lot of stuff that was all interesting. I do support those two organizations. I don't know if you support any, John.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess another thing I could potentially close with is just be kind to each other, show
Yep.
compassion, be understanding, be patient.
Yeah.
Make space for one another.
Yeah.
Don't alienate. Just listen to each other. Be a good person. Be the kind of member of society that you want to live in.
Yeah. It's that old kindergarten rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I learned in elementary. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we ended on that positive note on this beautiful Saturday. And hopefully everybody enjoys yourselves. Be careful. Please wear masks. Don't be those bozos in the market not wearing masks. You're going to be great if you catch that shit and your chest starts hurting. So wear a mask, wear condoms, have fun, enjoy life, and appreciate the ones you have with you because you never know, man. And then we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot, John.
Take care.